To the Policy Committee meeting, May 16th, 2017. Has the meeting been properly posted, Lynn?
Yes, we have.
It
Have
has.
been, yes.
Thank you. And we would have an opportunity for citizens, but no one is here to address us, so we'll pass on that one. We have a number of action items tonight. Let's get the easy one out of the way first, and that's the approval of the policy minutes from April. Is there a motion for approval? Moved by Barbara.
I'll second.
Seconded by Greg. Any questions on the minutes? Changes required? Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0, Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have some policies to deal with tonight, and on your, we're going to be using the agenda, so to speak, which includes some red ink on it. The first, up under the action item number 2, we have actually 2 policies that need to be adjusted because we are moving from having a committee for human resources and having another committee for compensation and a compensation committee. We're going to be, actually, we're starting the combination of those into one already, and we have the revisions necessary in the two policies, one for the agenda and one for the committees that are listed. We will be taking that to the board meeting in June. I will be asking for a waiver of the 2 reading law, our rule that we have, so that we can get that out of the way in one meeting. And have we had a 2 reading waiver since the new members have been on in the last year? Have we had one of those? Okay, what it is we have to, by policy, we have a requirement to read a policy change one meeting and then bring it back another meeting. There is a policy statement in the policies where we can waive that with a 2/3 vote, so we can do it immediately. And we will ask for that because it's just kind of a generic thing. So,
2/3 vote of the
Pardon?
committee or the full board?
pardon?
2/3 vote,
The 2/3 will be at the full board.
full board, okay.
That's really the waiver, so we can do it at one meeting. The vote on the policies themselves would still be a majority. Okay, if you can find that policy in there, 0155 under committees. Quite simply, we have changed the wording so it reads human resources and compensation, and we deleted the compensation as a separate item. And then under page 2, same thing. It's worded as human resources and compensation because there were 2 places we had it. That's the 0155. The 0166, which is the agenda preparation, similarly includes them, must be on the next page. Yes, it includes the combination of the 2 on page 2. So, anything else, Joe, on that you need to state?
Nothing on the policies. I just wanted to help direct everybody that the policies that you see listed in red here are on the pink pages, and the policies that you see in black here are on our traditional yellow pages.
There we go.
Just so that there's no confusion in what you're looking at.
Okay. So, we need to approve those changes on 0155 and 0166 at this committee meeting. So is there a motion for such?
Yes, I'll move to accept revisions to policy 0155 and 0156 as presented.
Thank you. There's seconded by Amanda. Any further questions on those 2 changes? Seeing none, I'll take all in favor of accepting those, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, Lynn. Okay. That gets us through the action items as listed there. Then we have information items and possible action items. We worded it that way in the event there was something that we didn't want to take action on, just in case, and not hinting there should be something like that. You got in your packet last week a number of policies. I think it was about 13. Subsequently, the HR department, Chris, had noticed that a number of the policies that we had not included were relatively the same as the ones we did include. I mean, it was the same thing where you have a policy for administration, one for staff, one for non-instructional, whatever. So we have those different settings. I mean, many times there's 3 policies that are the same, with the exception of who it's for. You will find on the revised agenda that Lynn prepared, all of the red ones are in that category. So that's why you have, and that's what's in, what did you call this? Pink? Very faint pink. So we will be going through those, and that's why you received some tonight that were not in your packet Friday. Does that make sense? Makes sense, good. Okay. We're going to go, again, I think we did this last month, the last time we had to do it. We're just going to go through these because many of these are simple statements of change and to be in compliance with state or federal laws. So we'll go through those with Joe and identify why it's in here. So we have a new policy, 1619, group health plans. That one you had in your packet. In fact, let me get my stuff caught up too. So that would be in your yellow packet. Group health plans. 1619. If you look at the policy itself, 1619 group health plans, you'll see a lot of text, and there's an X in a box in front of one of the statements. These would be options that we had when we were preparing to act on this policy. And I'm going to ask Lynn to explain how that works when we actually get it printed.
Correct. There are 4 paragraphs on the document that we're looking at. The first paragraph is what is currently in our policy as of right now. Then the next 3 paragraphs were options that we were provided. And the first option was selected, and the other 2 are not. So therefore, when this is updated and printed on our website, you will only see the first paragraph and the second paragraph. The last 2 will not be shown because they were not selected.
Right. So the recommendation internally by administration is the one that's X'd there.
Correct.
And you'll see that in several more of the policies downstream here. So this is a new policy that will be in place, and it says the board has elected to provide minimum value health coverage for some or all of its eligible employees. Terms and conditions of health coverage are set forth in the appropriate plan documents. That's what we are moving towards. Barbara?
Yes, are we going to drop then the statement under the X, the first paragraph? Are we going to drop the second and third paragraph?
Third and fourth.
Third and fourth? We are, huh?
Those, they're not.
They're not policy now.
They're not in policy. So the choices that we had were those 3 paragraphs. The recommended choice from Human Resources and Benefits is that the first box be checked. Those other ones are not even considered. They're not dropped. They're just,
They're going to stay in here?
no, they're not
No, they're
staying there.
not.
They go away.
So what happens with a employee that gets insurance from her spouse or his spouse?
They elect not to take insurance from the district.
Okay. Because we used to give them money, but we don't anymore.
That has been
That's been dropped.
a long time ago, I believe.
Good, good. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so that's, oh, Joe.
The first paragraph, the first 2 sentences, I agree wholeheartedly with. And the one with the X by it, I think, is the reasoning behind that is we have to have some statement in there for ACA purpose. And
This
that's
aligns
the
us-
only reason?
This aligns us with the Affordable Care Act, yes.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay. Yeah, because it just, because we talk generally that we have the discretion to provide these benefits, but then we very specifically get into the minimum value. But we have something well beyond the minimum value too, and we weren't talking about that. But I guess given the way the first sentence is written, it really covers everything. And the X sentence is just, or two sentences is just for ACA purposes, period.
Period, ACA.
Okay.
Because that's what's cited in the background
Yeah.
statement.
And not to jump ahead in the agenda, but that is the same statement for 3419.
Yeah.
And 4419.
4419,
is
yeah.
similar as well.
Better repeat now.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have two policies that you did not receive in your packet, 161901 and 161902, which are going to read, and 03, actually. No, 1 and 02. Most recent revisions to the HIPAA privacy rule for both of these, that's what it is, and they're in compliance with that, quite simply.
Correct.
This is the first time I saw these also, so. Joe, is there anything else we need to identify in 161901 and 02?
In '01, you'll note that medical plan, prescription drug plan, and dental plan are the ones that are checked.
Oh,
These
that's
are
good.
self-funded group plans. And then if you go down on the bottom of the page where it says the Department of Health and Human Services has the authority to impose civil monetary penalties, that box is checked. And this does keep us in compliance then with HIPAA. And then if you were to look in policy .02, 161902, the vision plan and the employee assistance plan are fully insured health plans. And then again, the same statement is checked on the bottom of page 1 of this copy, where it says the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and continues on. And again, these are policies that keep us in compliance with the federal law.
So these two policies deal with the self-insured and the fully insured.
Correct.
And other than that, with the identification of the set that we're talking about, they read the same. Joel?
Who's the appointed benefits coordinator in our district?
Melissa Beck is our benefits coordinator.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think that's identified back in our descriptions or something?
Yeah, I believe so.
Something.
And, with all of these policies, the human resources policies, Chris Hedstrom, Melissa Beck, anything that was appropriate, Darren Clark, if it's a business-related, they were consulted in the proposed policy that you have in front to make sure that it is how we operate.
Okay with that one, or those two? Then we move on to 161903, which is in your yellow packet. This is another situation where we are doing this to be in compliant with provisions and prohibitions of the Affordable Care Act. And, is this a new one? Yes, this is a new policy, right, Joe?
This is new. And again, it is a ACA compliance piece.
Okay. Okay. That's 161903. Now we move to 2413, also in your yellow packet. And this is stepping away from the insurance programs. This is talking about a health education that we are delivering to our students. And the important sentence in your summary is for the 2017-18 school year, districts will be required to provide instruction in all of these areas, CPR, CCR, so on. And this is for getting us into that state, correct?
Compliance with state statute, yes.
So this is in compliance to state requirements. And it is the broad, bold, and underlined section right in the middle of the page. Yes, Barbara?
Joe, will this be integrated into an already an existing course?
It's already present in our health and physical
Okay.
education department.
Which is they have a requirement.
Correct. Correct.
Right,
Thank you.
okay. Move on from 2413 to 3120.01 on your yellow packet. Got one copy here. Job descriptions. This one was to update it so that express notice be included in each job description that additional duties may be assigned beyond what is specifically stated in the job description. So, you will see again that there is a check mark placed near the bottom of the page in that option. In fact, there is only one option.
Correct, that was the addition, and we
So
would
that's the
like,
addition, and we're accepting it.
we're accepting it in conversation with Chris Hedstrom, and then just in kind of our general day-to-day as a district. You know, we all have our duties, right? Fifth grade teacher, deputy superintendent. There are times where we have to step outside of that and fill in, and that's where those other duties could be assigned or assumed.
Yes, Joe,
What,
sorry.
what was driving this? Is this internally brought up, or was this something that Neola brought forward?
It was a recommendation by Neola, but on consideration, it makes sense to have it in the job description so that you are noticing people on the
Sure.
front end. And, you know, in an effort to be as transparent as possible, this could happen to anybody. I mean, it could
I
be
didn't know
required
if we
of
were
anyone,
having
so
an issue with this or not.
there was no internal issue. Our staff has been great. They step in and fill in, you know, when duties are needed, they step to the plate all the time. It's just a matter of making sure that we're noticing them in their job description.
Okay.
Okay, that's 3120.01. Another one in your yellow packet, freedom of speech. 3310 is quite simply changing terminology, using the term employee expression in non-instructional settings as opposed to the terminology of free speech. Joe, where is the genesis of this?
There was some recent legal case in the country, the Hafernan versus the city of Patterson, that brought this conversation back to light. You know, is it freedom of speech, which is a constitutional protection, or is it freedom of expression? And if there's a situation where an employee is saying something that is detrimental to the organization, acting as a representative of the organization when they're not in fact in that role, this gives the ability to say this is what you can do and this is how you should do it. You can see that in the 5 guidelines that are there. Beyond that, in some instances, we have to intervene with staff, and this policy gives that leverage. So, and the policy has been there. So the policy is part of our book currently. It's just listed as freedom of speech
The terminology
instead of employee expression.
in the title,
So,
really, that's
right,
the only
yes, it's
change.
not a new policy, it is just a title change which more accurately reflects what this is.
Other questions, guys? No? Okay, thank you. 3419. Basically, this is the same as 1619, but for professional staff. So it's the same one we've looked at once before, and again, only the first part is Xed, and that will be the only part that shows up in the book, in the notebook.
Notebook,
Yes,
just
Barbara?
online.
It would appear that the background statement refers to the Affordable Care Act, which might not be operating in the future. Then we'll have to come back and change it.
Would get a recommendation to change it, correct?
Thank you.
Okay, that's, anybody else on 3419? Okay. Now we have 3419.01, which is going to be similar to what we talked about under 16. It's the pink sheets. Privacy protections of self-funded group health plans. And Joe, again, this is the first time I've seen this one, so is there any other changes in here that would not be similar to what we had in the earlier ones?
There's slight difference, but it's as it pertains to our professional staff. Other than that, it is the same policy that addresses the same HIPAA requirements.
Okay. And this is for professional staff,
This is for professional staff, correct?
for the self-funded part. Thing? Joe?
Who's our security official? Is that you, Joe?
The security official is Melissa Beck as well.
Oh, okay.
So Melissa Beck, Chris Hedstrom, they're the ones, but it does lie with Melissa because of the benefits.
So I'm thinking of security in a different manner. How is security being used here?
The privacy of the records that are associated with, for instance, a employee needs a leave, the documentation that they would have for that leave, that's where some of these
Kind
protections
of the
come in.
gatekeeper there.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's 3419, 01 and 02. Okay. From there back to the yellow sheets, 341903. New policy. Again, in keeping with the Affordable Care Act, this policy should be considered for adoption in order to authorize compliance and reporting measures as required by the act. And this is a new policy, so the whole thing that you're reading there is it. And I would take it we are essentially doing this already.
Correct. We're in compliance with the ACA, but we do have to have the policy that, just like a lot of what we saw last month and what we're seeing this month and what we'll continue to see is based on subtle changes in law or big changes in law, that's going to have a trickle down into how we have to operate as a district.
See that- And this is, just a minute, Barbara, I'll get you. This is an example of why we went through the process with Neola to keep informing us about things that need to be updated to be in compliance with
Right.
laws, et cetera. And if there's any change to that act, we'll get
Yeah.
audit on it.
Yeah, Lynn and I were just talking today, and, we would have been in compliance under our old framework, but we're able to do so in a much more efficient manner right now.
Barbara, you had a question?
Yes, Joe, what is the meaning in paragraph B? Receives a subsidy, enrolls in the health insurance marketplace and receives a subsidy. What's a subsidy?
Let me just, this line of paragraph. Employees of the district have the option to enroll in health.
An ACA subsidy.
It is an ACA subsidy, so there is the
Yeah.
federal dollars that are going to support
Okay,
some people's insurance contributions.
So if someone goes out to the exchange, they can determine whether or not they can obtain a subsidy based upon their financial
yes,
scenario.
yes, okay.
And so if someone does receive a subsidy, then we may be liable for a
Liability.
penalty. But that's why we offer the health care coverage that we offer with the minimum, and going back to that, one of the first policies that we
Correct, that minimum
started to
option.
look at, the minimum option, yeah, that's why we were required to do that.
Yep.
Hence the next sentence. And it's part of that.
Yes,
minimum-
that is correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And we had established that, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. We had to
As we move
set
to
up that policy.
a high deductible health plan, that
Yeah.
became an option.
Okay with 341903. Okay. See, I got you guys dancing around here. Now we're going back to your pink sheets, and a new one was added is, well, this is going to be a job description one, which will follow in line with that same statement we applied earlier, which allows for assigning additional duties 4120.01. So there's nothing else different in here.
In 412001?
Yeah, we had it previously in 312001. This is just the same thing, but for
Okay.
the
Support staff.
support staff instead of professional staff. Okay? All right, and 4310, another change in terminology from freedom of speech to employee expression. Again, a copy of the other one for a different situation. Okay. Which gets us to, back to the yellow. 4419, group health plan support staff. So this is similar to what we did in the professional staff and the administrative staff, so it's the same thing. Okay?
Same language, yep.
This really isn't all that bad, is it?
Well, it's a difference in our new policy book broken up by position,
Yeah.
Yeah,
type of
that's why
position, so.
there are many more policies than we had before, but a lot of that stuff is very repetitive, but we can find it.
I've had a couple of comments that for administrators who were used to going to one section last time, they're now going to three. But for staff members who know which pool they're in, professional staff knows to go to, support staff knows to go to, and that was part of the functionality of this. It'd be easier for our staff and for our community to go to the right
Right.
series.
Okay, that was 4419, which is followed by a pink sheet 4419.01, the privacy protections for the support staff. Again, it's going to be a repeat of what you saw under the professional staff and the administrative staff. Okay. That was 01, right? Yeah. Back to the yellow sheets. 441902. Protections for the, wait a minute, gotta get myself, support staff, again, copying what we did in 341902 and 161902. Now that I remember looking at this earlier, you had 1619, 3419, 4419, was there anything in the 20s? I'd have to go back and look at what the 20s was about, but there was no other sets in there, right?
The policy, the zeros are the bylaws, the 1000s are the administration, which refers to Dr. Gray. The 2000s are the program.
Okay, that's why they
and
wouldn't
then
be in there.
3000s and 4000s get back into our staff then.
Okay, that's why that pattern is, yeah. Okay, 441902, privacy protection of fully funded group plans for support staff, anything in there? Repeat
Same,
again.
Repeat again, yep.
Okay. And a new policy, 441903. This is the protection policy, again, repeated from the 34 and the 16. Questions? Okay. Now we have three of a different nature. Let me just, these are revisions, but they're not in the healthcare anymore. Revision 6150 about tuition income. Policy revisions indicate that tuition rates are set by the board but must be based on one of the three DPI-approved methods. Joe, you and I talked about this one, and we find that it's a rare rarity.
This would be a very rare occasion.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more practiced when the open enrollment window was
Yep.
tight, I think the month of February. with a much quicker turnaround, but now open enrollment is a almost 3-month window, and then the minute that it closes, it opens up again for exception to open enrollment. So it's really turned into a year-round thing. There are some unique cases, though, where this might apply, and therefore it's a policy that we have on the books.
Policy if it would ever be needed.
Correct.
And it's just about how the rates are determined, right?
Question.
Yes.
Joe, when we accept special education students, because we have a program here to meet their needs, and perhaps their homeschool district does not have programs to meet their needs, is this what it's referring to when they come here?
It could refer to the deaf and hard of hearing program.
Yeah.
Correct. That would be
Okay.
the one unique
Okay.
program that's recognized in the area.
Okay,
Everything else would be done under open enrollment,
okay,
and
okay, thank you.
Where this is where an independent is paying the tuition, right?
correct. Correct. This is not an
Opposed to a
interagency.
school district.
This is not an interagency agreement.
Right.
Correct.
That's why it's
The
rather
DHH
unique.
program is interagency.
Okay, other committee members, any questions on that one? It's a revision, it's not a change, so, I mean, not a new one. Okay. 8,500 food services. Revised to modify the United States DA, Department of Agriculture required non-description statement that must accompany all correspondence concerning the food service program. The word district instead of institution deviated from the exact language, and therefore the policy is revised to meet this requirement. So that's really it.
Policy that you have on there, yes, if you were to look to the bottom of the second page of the policy, you see district crossed out and institution. It has been changed to meet the non-discrimination statement by the USDA. So Neola was audited by the Office of Civil Rights, and as part of that audit, they found that this needed to be changed. So
I don't get it.
I don't either.
I just,
Well, it's keeping somebody employed.
I mean, this is one of those things that I just don't understand the difference. Honestly, what is the difference?
If you get involved with the Office of Civil Rights, they will get as technical as a term. And if your non-discrimination statement doesn't match what the federal government requires in a non-discrimination statement, even though you have non-discriminatory practices, they can still penalize you because your statement wasn't accurate. And so if they have a finding, or if the federal government makes an adjustment and you're not in alignment with that, they can come in and say, that you were found non-compliant with the non-discriminatory statement by the USDA, and therefore you're not going to get penalized for it. You might be directed to change it. However, you could be put on ongoing surveillance for your policies and your non-discrimination, which eats up a substantial amount of time. So, 10 minutes at committee and the board to talk about these changes is minimal compared to what the ongoing surveillance could be.
I'm in favor of this. I'm just not seeing the difference between the word district and institution, so I guess maybe that's why I'm not a civil
Maybe
rights
there
lawyer,
are
right?
situations outside of our boundaries, though, where
I think it-
law is restricted, it's not restricted to districts, it's trying to be generic. Maybe they just figure they better get the word district out of there and put it as an institution to cover those other places.
Correct. Many areas, like a college, for instance, that would have some USDA box that they needed to check, that's an institution, it's not a district, but we are an institution and we're a district. And that's, I think, where some of the language
So
gets
institution is more inclusive.
correct.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, I learned something today.
That means you can quit for the day. Okay, that gets us to, whoops, I did have one more, don't we?
One more.
Free and reduced lunch, 8531. Also modifying the same thing, right?
Correct. Last page.
Way
Last
down
sentence.
at the bottom of the whole document, the word
Institution.
institution instead of the word district.
Right.
How about that? Just as a reminder again, this is the kind of stuff we're gonna get twice a year, bundles of these things that are just matters of getting caught up with compliance issues, cleaning up words like district and institution. These are not the real meaty ones, so we can buzz through this, yes.
We have to take action?
Yes,
on
we
this?
do. I was,
I move to approve all of the items listed 3 through 22. Is that okay?
that's beautiful.
As presented.
Second.
Seconded by Barbara. Thank you. Any further questions on any of these items? Seeing none, I'll just ask for a vote. All in favor of, excuse me. I'm
Just a
sorry, Dan.
comment, Bill.
Yes, please.
I just think the committee that was here when Neola came on board and the administration that brought it to us, this district, should be thanked for just, going that extra mile to making sure that we have this coverage. It's really, I can see how it's paying off every single meeting that we have,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's,
So you guys did a great job in
well,
being way ahead of the game.
for those people that don't realize, a lot of work was put in about this time, starting about this time last year, to go through that whole bundle. And now these are just updates. So thank you, Greg.
But to
for
be
that.
on board and to see the results of that every single meeting, very
Yeah,
obvious,
we are seeing the results.
administration and board members.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the motion for accepting these 20? I think it's 20. 20 policy changes or new policies, up to say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0, Lynn? Yes, thank you. Any recommendations from committee members for something we want to cover in a future meeting?
Actually not, it'd be more process, but hopefully that would be okay to comment. Would maybe suggest that when we have like 1619 and 3419 and 4419, let's put those three together because they're covering the same topic. And so, yeah, we're out of order from a numbering perspective, but it's germane to, I think it'd make the
And I had the same
discussion go
thought. Thank you for
quicker.
bringing it up. I didn't think about it. Lynn, that's not a big deal for you, is it? Not at all. Not at all. I'll do that for full board. That's a good point. Because we understand this, but they don't all have the same background.
Can you clarify, do you want those three that are pretty much the same to be enacted?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to approve them all
Well, and there's
as
several
one.
of those.
Put them together under one executive summary?
Oh,
Or are you just thinking?
I'm just
of-
talking order,
Right,
Okay,
just the order,
got it. Okay.
just the order,
easier to follow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they're
Oh,
separate
yeah.
policies,
Policies
And-
will stand separately.
yeah. So I would just, it's just an
List.
ordering
Yeah.
Sake of
suggestion.
conversation at the
Yeah.
meeting.
Otherwise, I think the material still needs to be the same way as it's presented.
Anything else for other business? Our next meeting will be on June 20th at 6 o'clock. We got to lean on the technology committee because Amanda and I are on the technology committee with Patrick, who wanted to start his technology committee meeting at 4 o'clock, and I said, come on, 2 hours for. So we have a meeting and a meeting that night, Amanda, but we'll be here.
that happens a lot.
We'll make Patrick get done. Thank you for going through these quickly with us and for getting used to the exercise. Appreciate that. Okay, thank you, Len, for all you did in getting this put together.